This is Alkali. I'm Alkali on Twitter, Tumblr, and on LiveJournal. I'm doing this video blog to cover what happened on September 10th, where I met Koyama Keiichiro of News. It was me, my friend Jade, who on Twitter is Jade, and my sister Hokamiya. We first found out that Koyama was in New York from News Every, who announced that Koyama would be in New York covering the 10th anniversary of 9/11. We weren't sure at first when he was gonna come to New York, where he's gonna be. Like, obviously, I guess you don't want to expose that too soon. But according to his J-Web, he was in New York since Tuesday, and it was on, I guess, Wednesday or Thursday that a fan had seen Koyama at Ground Zero. And she was able to shake his hand and everything. I thought that was really cool. And one of my friends on Twitter was walking around Soho and saw him at Soho. And from what she said, he was in a suit and with shopping bags. And I was like, sounds like Koyama. And I also had the strong hope of seeing him also. So me, Jade, and my sister Monica decided to hang out around the city. First thing we wanted to do was really hang around Koreatown, because it's like, I guess since Koyama is taking Korean, I think he likes Korean culture, he would hang out there. But first, we wanted to do something for the anniversary, so we wanted to check out Ground Zero first. And we went there like around noon to see the place, because I honestly haven't been there in like 5 years or so. So, and I know I knew I wouldn't want to go there on Sunday because it'd be crazy. So we decided to go on Saturday. So we were walking around the area like a block or two away from Ground Zero, and there was a church there where you could hang something along the gate for the victims. And as we were approaching it, we were going toward the corner of the church, and with my sister, she's like, "Look at that Japanese TV crew," and she's like, "Is that him?" And the closer we got, the harder it was for me to like really think or remember what I was doing that second. And it was my sister who said, "It's him, it's him." And we came closer, and at the corner, in a dark suit with dark hair, really tall, it was Koyama. And that second I knew it was him, I couldn't breathe for a second, and I thought I was gonna like fall to my knees because I felt like I was having a hard time standing up. And Jade like clung on to me so tightly, and we weren't sure how to process it. But I guess somehow our first reaction was to take a picture. Like, we took out our cell phone cameras and our cameras, took whatever shots we could of Koyama from behind, and around him he had a guy with a camera, a guy with the sound, one AD, I'm assuming, and two ladies. I think one was a translator, and like two big guys, like who was standing in the back along with us, and who was like looking at us, like, who I guess knew that second, like, oh my god, Koyama's fans found him. I guess is one of the things they were worried about. So we kind of put our phones away, and we stood at the corner waiting for him to move. felt like we were on the corner for so long. We were so worried. We didn't know what to do. Like, should we approach him now? Like, it was obvious he was there. He was working, and beside him was his guest. He was interviewing, apparently, and we kept our distance. Obviously, don't want to disturb them. That's like so rude. So so they walked across the street, and we kept our distance when we followed them. We kept our eye on them, and they got to a location along a sidewalk, and me and Jade and my sister, we stayed on the opposite side of the street. We were watching from there, and they were filming. The guy Koyama was interviewing was obviously showing him things like looking out toward Ground Zero, and me and Jade, with my sister, she kind of hid in shame because we were pretty much stalking, but we wanted to watch them film. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would want to watch what a film crew's filming, so we watched quietly from across the street, but we were kind of still flailing to ourselves. I was with Jade, and apparently our flailing caught a police officer's attention, and he like stood right beside me, and he's like, "What's going on? Like, do you know those people over there?" It's like, you know, why are you freaking out? And me and Jay told him how Koyama is pretty much a pop star in Japan. He's in a music group, and at the same time he's a news anchor, because they're cool like that. And the cop looked at him, at Koyama, and he's like, yeah, he kind of has that pop look going on. It was really funny seeing him, like, you know, looking at Koyama, judging him also. And he's like, why don't you go talk to him, right? Because, like, he's from Japan, you know, he's really popular, and when's the next time you're ever gonna see him? Because Jade and I were really debating, it's like, when they're done filming, should we leave? Like, are we fine with just having had seen him like this? Like, just watching him, having had been close enough to him. But I guess me and Jade and my sister owe it to the cop to give us the courage, where the cop was like, go for it. You know, when they're done, go up to him, talk to him, say hi. It's like, it wouldn't hurt, right? And we thought it was hilarious, like, this cop, you know, telling us to go talk to Koyama. So that was cool. And when Koyama and the crew seemed to be done filming, they started to move. So me and Jade said, let's just go. So we grabbed our sister too, and we followed them to see where they would film next, and to see if it was worth really continuing to follow. Then they went to this little street where a lot of it was blocked off because it was up against Ground Zero, and a street corner. So Koyama and the guest he was interviewing was checking out the site and everything. And I guess one little tidbit of what Koyama was doing while we were watching was that his guest handed him something to drink, and, like, you know, just this. And the way Koyama acted, it was so polite and formal. It was really cool seeing him, seeing him do that in the full suit and everything, where he, like, held it like this, and opened it very carefully and drank very carefully, and then handed it to the AD kind of casually at that point, because he's not his guest. Then they were just lingering a little bit until the camera crew was ready to continue filming. So Koyama was just standing there, and me and Jade were still, I guess we were playing, like, we honestly can't remember what we were doing, but we were just like looking at him. And then we saw Koyama like eye us, like turn just like that, and the first reaction me and Jade had was to like awkwardly wave. We were like, whatever. And then he turned away and we're like, oh god. It was really embarrassing, but we feel happy that he like looked at us, like our eyes met, and at least he knew of our existence. Like just standing there in the corner watching him work. So also at that point we're like, is this good? Are we done? Should we leave him? Like, should we leave him be at this point? But then it started to rain while they were out there in the street. And just to describe where we were, at the corner, like on the sidewalk we were at, there was construction. So the construction was covering the sidewalk, and there were the gates that covered along the street, along the curb of the sidewalk, except for the very corner where people could go in and out through. So Koyama and the crew, to get on the sidewalk and, you know, away from the rain, they had to come through that one opening at the corner where the three of us were. So we were really worried, you know, as he was coming, will his staff, like, you know, block him from us and things like that. But then we were watching, and Koyama was the one who was directing the staff to go in first, and his guest, and Koyama was kind of last of the group, and he was passing us, and I was getting really nervous and really excited, and with my sister and Jade, like, are you gonna say something? Are we gonna do something? Are we just gonna let him walk past us? And it was me who, I guess, had no idea what to do, but just blurt out Koyama to his face. I just said, like, Koyama, and he like I was like, oh, whatever. He was like really surprised. Like, I just like blurted out his name. I felt like it was so rude now that I think about it. It's like, oh god, I just kind of, you know, Koyama right to his face, and he had like the cutest expression when I just looked up at him, and he is so tall, by the way, and I was so nervous, and the first thing I said really was, can I shake your hand? Because if he had to go away, I wanted to at least shake his hand. So I think he understood that, and I was like, had my hands out like, can I shake your hand? And he said, oh, okay, whatever. And he shook my hand. That was amazing. And he quickly shook Jade's hand too. But then when he saw what I had on, I had this when I saw him, he's like, oh, you know, the new, you have a concert goods and stuff like that. And at the time, his guest, who he was talking to, came up, and he's like, what's going on? And Koyama, like, you know, held my hand and kind of showed the guest, and he kind of told him, oh, it's of my group's concert goods. I don't know if the guest knew who Koyama was really. But yeah, so it's like yeah, what was it? I don't really remember. But I know when he was done shaking our hands and talking to the guy, he kind of looked at us. It's like, now what? Right? So I looked up and it was like, we love news. It was the first thing I really wanted to say. Like, I wanted him to know that him, news, and what they do every day to entertain us is loved. Like, I also want him to know, like, he has fans all over the world, like, especially in New York, and I felt like that was the only thing I kept saying to him was, we love news,